Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another segment of Seeds for You. I am actually in St. Louis here with Pastor Necole Alexander. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And I'm going to just tell you a little bit of how we came together. This is the first time we've actually met. And the reason being is because I do stage plays and she is really good at promoting. I've heard. She recently brought a play here to, was it Illinois or Missouri?
It was the St. Louis area, but it was actually in Belleville, Illinois.
Okay, so she brought a play to Belleville, Illinois, and that play was called
All I Really Wanted by Nathaniel Burrs Jr. Of Glory Movements. He wrote and directed the play.
Okay, and so tell us a little bit about that experience and how all of that came about.
I was actually on the internet and I just had been noticing that he had been advertising the play in different cities, and he was so excited about the play coming to Cleveland again and that it was going to Virginia. And so I just decided on one of his things, I just decided to and said to him, oh, so when is it coming to St. Louis? And we began to talk, and we just decided that we both would benefit from a play like this in the area, and he decided to work with me.
And I heard that this play was extremely good.
I really was overwhelmed and overjoyed at the play. It had a message, the singing was good, the acting was good. Everybody was so professional in how they handled everything, from even the setting up of the play to the people that were doing the vending. It was very nice.
And so my sister was actually one of your audience viewers who attended the play, and that's how I found out about it and how good it was and everything. And then she just said to me, she said, Sherry, you really got to meet her because she promoted this play, and she was like, and I think that she could promote for you and help you to bring your work back here and do, have a performance here. And I thought about that, and I was like, really? And then she was like, yeah, because she even had Bernadette
Stannis from Good Times, and also she's now in what we call the Family Business, Carl Weber's Family Business on BET. And it was just an exciting moment to meet her. I was just so overwhelmed by her play, and not just the play, but the books that she had written. I decided to read one. And so she's just doing a lot of things, especially in the area of doing things for the gospel community. And I was kind of impressed with her.
Okay, so you see, and this was the first time you've done something like this, correct?
This is the first time I've done it and branched out into promoting. I've done plays like for the church in the past, but never on this scale, never with an audience like this and bringing them in and bringing people to the community. It was a very unique experience.
Okay, so that's very good. And I'm very impressed with the fact that this was the first time that you've done anything on that level, and then yet you bring a celebrity in. So that in itself speaks volumes to your abilities and what you're able to do.
I'm glad that you said that. I think, everything you do, you have to do it with a spirit of excellence. And I'm learning that if you're going to do it right. Mm-hmm. My grandmother used to had a saying, if the thing starts wrong, it's going to end wrong. If you start it right, it'll end right. Mm-hmm. So I just think that learning from the beginning how to do it and bringing in a celebrity, I think that was the best thing for me, because now I know what I can and can't do. And it was just a great experience. And working with Bernadette and her manager, it was very easy. It was very easy.
Very good. I guess I'm kind of jumping a little bit ahead of myself because I was so excited to get to that piece, to get that out there, because it's kind of like what tied us together. But would you go ahead and tell the audience a little bit about yourself, because you're also a pastor and you started a church and you've been preaching, since 1988. So kind of give us a backstory on that.
Yes, I'm actually from East St. Louis, Illinois. And I went to school there at East St. Louis, Lincoln. I graduated with the great class of 1984. And I was the valedictorian of my class. And I also, as I said, I'm a pastor. I've been pastoring for 4 years. The name of my church is Petra New Life Center, and it's located at 1913 North Belt East in Belleville, Illinois, 6221. And it's a small church, but we're growing. And I have a few members there, And I have one son and a daughter, Nicholas Scott Crowell and Danielle Moore Crowell. And I have 3 grandchildren, Jimmy, and I have Nash and Noah. And so I just thank God for my 3 grandsons. And that's basically, my family. I received Petra New Life Center. It was first called Petra Life Center under the pastorate of my mother, Apostle Lily Douglas. And I just thank God for those that work with us, for the spirit of excellence that they've given. And I think that's where we're trying to move into, because there are many ways to get the word of God out. But I found out that this is going to be a way that'll be able to draw people in. After going through the pandemic, I realized that people are going to be looking at different avenues, because for some reason, some people want to come back to church, but a lot of them have gotten used to not being in the church building. And that's basically how we got started.
So I know that you were coming from a very good background. I just think it's amazing. I'm so happy that we were able to meet today. So let's talk a little bit more about your experience with this promoting, because I heard that you did such a great job with it that I'm really interested to collaborate with you. And that's the purpose of our meeting today, is that I could talk to her and see what we can do together for me to promote some of my work back here. So tell us about that whole experience, about the ticket sales and how you came up, with the prices.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I really tried to follow the lead of Pastor Nathaniel Burris Jr. He kind of basically told me that one of the best ways to do it is to go to your friends and family and see if they were interested. And what I did is I went to some family members, and then those family members may have sent me to another group of people. I went to some organizations. One of my family members is a member of a sorority, Sigma Gamma Rho, and she took a group of tickets from me through that. Then I went to Bishop Baylor and Bishop Coleman. I think I got to them somewhat late, and then they bought groups of tickets as well and helped support us that way financially, as well as getting people to come to it. And Bishop and Pastor Thompson did as well. So one of the things that if I had the opportunity to do it again, I would do the same type of thing, but as opposed to just using one group, I would use more than one group. I limited myself at first, I think, in thinking that I could just sell them outright. But then when I began to go to different people, like my family member, one of my members introduced me to your sister, and then your sister introduced me to another group of people. And so what I did then is, when I found out that people were really available and had groups of friends, I would say, well, why don't you get more than one group, and I'll discount it at $10 off for each one that you get. And so that was a big help. We sold the tickets at $60, and then we had $50 for those that did early bird, and we did have some $100 tickets. Those were for VIPs, people that were going to be able to spend some time with Bernadette and to be able to have more preferential seating.
Okay.
The seating in that place, though, was actually very good. We had seating because of the way the venue was set up. You could see in the front and in the back, no matter where you were.
So every seat was a good seat.
Every seat to me was actually a good seat. Even if you were in the higher seats, they were good seats. But there was more, and we even went with the parking and just some of the things that we did to make it preferential for them. We made it easy. We had it where you could go online and get tickets. You could cash app us and get tickets. You can get them physical tickets, or you can buy them online. And so that made the process run smoothly. But I think the people that did it best were the groups that we brought in, as I said. And I said, if I ever did it again, I probably would start with those key individuals that had those groups, because I think those were the most successful sales that I had. selling them one at a time was good. But when I went and I got 20 in this group and 20 in that group, 100 in that group, I think that's one of the best ways to do it.
Okay, and so what do you think that the audience experience was with actually having the opportunity to meet Bernadette?
I think they were excited about Bernadette, but the play was so awesome that there were characters in the play that Bernadette may have been a star in her right, but because of the excellence and the quality of the play, they were even more excited over some of the other characters. Okay. There was one character that was there was a gentleman that played an older woman called Nana in the play. Okay. And everybody was just enamored over her because it wasn't so much that it was Bernadette, it was that they had so many insightful lines and so many things, and it was funny. It made you cry, made you laugh. It had so many different areas in it. And so the singing was superb. The anointing was in the room. It wasn't just a regular play. There was a message of forgiveness. And so people really enjoyed it.
Okay. And so you said that this gentleman, the play that you brought here was called All I Really Wanted, but he also did A Good Man Is Easy to Find?
Yes, that is his first play that he did, A Good Man Is Easy to Find. And he has some other plays that are out. And the All I Really Wanted, one of the things that made this play a unique play is that he integrated video in with it. And as opposed to them using time to change the scenes and change the settings, they used actual video on screen in between them going out for different scenes. And so therefore it made it look as if they never lost any time on doing changing the scenes. So it was very well written, and the movie part of it was good. From my understanding, he is getting ready to come out with a movie as well.
Oh, okay. Okay, so already God has put you in contact with some people that maybe get some good contacts for you. And one thing that I've learned in doing this is that no matter what is happening in that process, whether you have to push the date back and change the date, like initially maybe you were going to do it in April, and then some things happen and then you actually end up doing it in May. Nothing is bad about that, because in that process between the time that you were initially supposed to mount the play and the time that you actually do, you learn something in the process. And I just feel that God opens doors along the way as you go. So anybody out there, don't be discouraged if you are just starting out doing this. Don't be discouraged if things are not going as you plan. Just go with the flow, because you're going to learn along the way, and God is going to open up doors as you do that. So let's talk about, now that you've had that experience, and then you're meeting someone like me who has been doing plays for a while, and it got stalled a little bit when we had, because I relocated from Illinois to Texas, and that got stalled because of the pandemic. But now I'm ready to market myself and to get this going in Texas now. So based on the experience that you've had, what could you bring to the table to help me along? And before we get into that, let us take a station break here, and we're going to come right back in a minute. If you are just joining us, I am here with Pastor Necole Alexander, and she is also a promoter amongst other things. She has an extensive resume, but one of the things that brought us together today is that I am a playwright, a community playwright, and she is promoting. And so that gave us a great opportunity to come together today. And so based on the experience that she's had thus far, we are now together to see how we can collaborate in terms of her being able to bring me back here to do a production. So based on the experience that you've had thus far, and you started off big. You didn't start off small. You started off big with a celebrity and people who are, far more advanced than I am at this point. And so based on that experience, what could you bring to the table for us to collaborate?
I think that bringing in a celebrity was good, but I believe that the message was what was the big thing. And I think starting off the way I did maybe it made it good for me because now we can go even higher. So even though I didn't know I was starting at that level, I'm glad. But whatever we do, we want to do it with a spirit of excellence. And so I think the next steps would be for me to learn about your play and what your play involves, and see if we can communicate that to an audience. One of the things, the play that I didn't realize, the first play, I could have had more young people there because there was a young person who was in the play, and she was one of the primary characters. I think one of the things I could do is find a different group of to send the audience to. I probably could have gone to the, I did go to the city of East St. Louis, but I probably could have gone to the school districts as well, the one that I work in as well as the one that's over here. So I think one of the things I would do is to find some of the larger groups to make sure that we could fill the room even better. I think I would find out more people that were already interested in plays. There's another big playwright in this area, and she's used that same facility. And I think that's what I would do differently. I would probably coordinate it with a lot more bigger groups in it, and even maybe get some sponsors this time.
Okay, and so what about the facility? Because I heard the facility was nice. What do you think about that?
The facility was excellent. It has 1,000, close to 1,000 seats, and it has 1,500 parking spaces, and they had full security. They had a staff that was able to take the tickets. They did the vending. They had an event planner. They had a technician. They had security. They had ushers. They had people that cleaned up after us. There was nothing that we really needed to do for the facility. We brought in a few things, but mainly the venue itself had everything we needed. Everything from microphones to the as I said, the videos that was necessary. They had the flat screens throughout so that we could do the scene changes. There was really nothing that we needed for that facility. They even had a relationship with a furniture store that we needed. So awesome. Everything we needed was right there available for us with the venue.
Okay, and so now that all sounds really good to me, because sometimes that can be very challenging when you're trying to put on a production. You know, like they may have this available to you, but they may not have that available to you. So it sounds like they have everything that you need. I heard you mention microphones, which that's a big thing. So what about the advertising? Like, if you knew that a play was coming around Thanksgiving, when do you think would be the ideal time to start promoting that play?
I really believe the ideal time, I started promoting in July, and I had a big setback in June in the July time frame. Unfortunately for me this year, it was God's will, but my sister passed. And so by my sister passing, that was kind of a hard time to start talking about it to my family. But I actually started getting ready for the play in July, and then we started promoting like at the end of July, beginning of August. So I think even though it seemed like a short period, I started in July and the play was December 3rd. So I think anytime you're going to promote, maybe 6 months ahead of time is an adequate enough time to promote a play.
Okay. And what format did you use for advertising? Was it like the newspaper, word of mouth, you know?
I did a variety of things. At the beginning, I used word of mouth, and I used different avenues with churches and things like that and writing lists. But as I moved forward into it, getting closer to the months, more towards September and October, I began to reach out and use more of the media of like using the internet. I use Reels to do it. I use Facebook to do it. And then I started doing what they call flyers. I have flyers all along from maybe August, but I began to promote the flyers in all kind of places. Near the end, in October, we did what we call a mass media rush. We then put it on the television stations, on the radios, on we got posters made and put them in the stores. We put them in churches, and we started going to the churches and doing small segments in churches. So some of the churches allowed us to come in and advertise at their services in the church. And that really started to promote it a lot by going to the different organizations, ICAB, Higher Ground International Ministries, Ministerial Alliance. We went to those groups, and as we went to those groups, then they went to their churches. So maybe if we could have gotten a little bit earlier than October to those churches, maybe around the September, August time frame, it would have made it go just a little smoother. But we had some churches that they sold out their tickets in the first couple of weeks of having them. And I think churches like that, some of the smaller churches sold 20 and 30 tickets, but I believe those kind of churches we should have gone to earlier. We had some little small churches, but they were powerful. North End Baptist Church, Pastor Charles Luster, and also one of the beauticians. She sold a lot. Her name is Ednette. She does a gallery connection. I think I should have gone to a lot more people that have barbershops and beauty salons, because one of my beauticians, her name is Erica, and she told me that if I had gotten it a little bit earlier, she would have been able to sell a lot of tickets. So getting with the network of beauticians and barbershops, because I'm connected to so many, I think that would have been a big draw as well. And maybe even with someone having a thing like Bernadette Sanders, we could have got onto maybe a radio station for free advertisement. We did do something on what is it called? We went to 96.3. We put it on there just as a advertisement, but we actually went on air and did an interview with Linda Galloway on I can't think of the number of her radio station. I think it's 690.
Okay.
So we went to 690 with Linda Galloway, and we were on air, and she actually interviewed us. That was and it was aired maybe 2 or 3 times. That was really giving us some exposure.
Okay, that's very good. And that's good to know that now, you mentioned that if you had gotten to the churches a little bit sooner, and then you learned that using the barbershops and the beauty salons and stuff like that was a good place to start. So next time you do it, you gain that information, and then you'll be able to utilize that information going forward, which is very good to know. It's good to know that starting out within a certain time frame is helpful, so that's all good information to know going forward. So I would be interested in that. And then so you've already explained that the play was phenomenal, the message was phenomenal. So I would consider the play that I would consider bringing is actually a play that has been done in this area before, but maybe only once or twice. But some of the feedback I've heard was that it was one of my best. And so the play that I would consider bringing back again is probably Circle of Influence. And that play is surrounding family issues, particularly after a divorce, and how relationships, like the type of things that happen when divorces happen, how it affects families, how it affects children and stuff like that, and how it even affects the mindset of the woman. Like, for instance, going back into the dating realm again, and maybe being blind to some of the signs or warnings or red flags, and even if they're coming from your own children, that women sometimes miss. So this particular play was about a couple that was divorced, but they had one child coming from a wealthy family, a well-to-do family, like a doctor and a lawyer. And then the mother started dating again, and she was dating somebody who had a vengeance against her husband, who was a doctor. And so when he came into her life, he already knew the backstory, and he was coming to bring hurt and harm. And he did some very awful things in the play. But the message that I'm trying to convey is that mothers need to really pay attention to their children when they're telling them. Don't just write it off, and act like that you just being unreasonable because you would rather have your dad back opposed to having a new man in the family. But mothers actually really need to listen to their children. And so that was one of the things I felt like I needed to send a message to, because I know that there are a lot of mothers that are not paying attention.
And I'm glad you said that. And being a mother that had a son and then had a husband and some things happened, I could even relate to that after we had gone through the divorce and gone through many different things. And even to this day, things that you don't even realize that can affect your children. And as they come along, you know, there are generational things that happen.
Yes.
And once it happens in your family, and then as you get older, then it happens in your child's family.
Exactly.
And so now, how do you break that? And it sounds like your play would be a message to help young mothers and even mothers that are older to be able to figure out a way to say, let's stop back and just take a moment and revisit this before we move forward. I was talking to my son recently, and he explained some things to me that happened in his childhood and some things that he's going through now. And I was thinking to myself, you know, maybe I should have been more forward and forward thinking in some of the explanations that I had given him. But you know, I thank God because of plays like this and the word in itself that you always have a second chance. So I'm excited. I hope you do bring it back, because I think it will be a help to those.
Yeah, and it is, and it's a message that I've learned, and even after I've written that play, and then just being a witness to the damages that divorces bring to children. You know, and so a lot of children who are in school, and you think this kid is just a bad kid, or they're just a kid that comes from a background where there's no teaching, there's no love, and there's no this. Well, if they're coming from a broken home, a lot of their problem stems from that. But not everybody knows that, and not everybody knows how to help in those situations, you know, because maybe they haven't had that experience before, or they just don't know, because you're not a doctor, you're not a therapist, or whatever, and you don't know. But what I found out is that when divorces happen before children or after children learn to talk, then they can be affected, because you may think, oh, my child is too young. They're too young to be affected by this divorce. But if the child is talking, they're not too young to be affected by the divorce. And so this child is trying to figure out ways to do life after something as traumatic as a divorce has happened to them. They may not know how to talk to you. They may feel that it's their fault. You know, it's a lot of things that's going on in their mind, and so we may not know how to help them in a healthy way. You just feel like you discipline, and but it's not just that. You know, it has to be surrounded with a lot of love and understanding, and making them feel that it's a safe place for them to discuss these matters. So that's one of the things that I have learned since I've written that play. So I may do some revisions there. But the real message was for parents to pay attention to their children after situations like that. So I would be very interested in working with you and collaborating, and if you are willing to help promote it, because I heard that you did such an amazing job with that. And Jackie Wright White is my sister, and she was really bragging on you and what you did, and how amazing the play was. And she just thought, Sherry, you have to meet her. You have to meet her. You guys need to do something together. So I'm excited, and if you are excited, then I'm willing. You know,
I'm excited as well. This has been like I said, it's been a good experience. And working with Jackie, she just got on board, and before she even knew what the play was going to be, she just got on board from a family relationship. One of my cousins and one of her neighbors, and it just flowed from there. And that's why I say you have to make sure you involve the people that you're connected to, because this was my first time meeting Jackie, and then I found out her best friend was one of my cousins. So it was a good thing, because you'll find out there's, like they say, 6 degrees of separation from every group, but it seemed like it was even smaller, and that was a blessing in itself, because it made it have a synergy and it just spread it out. So I think this next time that I do it, it will flow even better because people are waiting, because we didn't have, as you say, the pandemic caused us not to be able to get out. Many people haven't gone back to church per se. And it was just a good time for people to be out. It was clean fun. There was no carousing. It was just a really good atmosphere.
Awesome. And so I am definitely looking forward to that, to get together and to start working on that and learn from you. And I can share whatever I've learned over the years with you as well. And I just feel like that it's God in it, because if there's a message that is going to help the world and the community, and all of my work is gospel plays. I may do something a little outside of that every once in a while, but mostly I want to get messages out to people to help this hurting generation, because there is a lot of stuff that's going on behind closed doors, and a lot of stuff that private struggles that happen in the lives of people, and they don't feel that they have anybody that they can trust to talk to. Well, when they see it in a play, it does a couple of things. One, it lets them know that they're not alone, and it also lets them know that there is help and they're not crazy. Because some people all of my plays always lead you back to God and let you know that there's nothing that you can go through in life that God cannot handle and fix. There is nothing that you can go through. He can, even if it's what you're going through is just a learning experience and you're supposed to learn something out of, God is always there, but we don't always think to utilize God. We'll go to drugs and we'll go to alcohol, we'll go to sex and all of these other things, and we don't try God. But God is there and He's waiting. So I always try to give messages to people, and I've sat in the audience just to try to get a feel for what the audience was getting out of the play, and I would hear laughter and I would hear crying, and I would also give tickets away to women's shelters, because they're down on their luck and they're having a rough time in life, and they may not have money or anything, they can't afford the ticket, but I would always reserve a certain number for them so that it would give them an outing, and then would also give them hope, so that was one of the things that I would do. So, is there anything that you would like to add based on your experience, or anything else that you would just like to share with the audience about you? Would you like to have other people to reach out to you to help them with promotions?
Well, my first and foremost, as you said, is a servant. And so I just want to be a servant in whatever area. Promotion is great, but the most important thing is that we be servants. And, God is calling for us in this last day to get the gospel out, no matter what, right, whether it's for promotion or just so that we can get it out. So we're just looking now for a chance to be able to come together and fellowship with those. If you want to give me a call or let Sherry know on the podcast, whatever way you want to know to get in contact with me. My phone number, do you mind if I get it? You can get my number, is 618-477-2869. Again, that's 618-477-2869. And I'm always willing to talk to you, or just to sit down and counsel you as a pastor, or even to come and minister to your hurting women. After having gone through so many things in my life, I believe in the ministry of reconciliation. And I really like to work with women and young women, especially those that have gone through divorces. I've gone through it, but I know that after going through it, I have come out on the other side. So no matter what, God is always the source. No matter what we do, He's always the source and the resource. And I just believe that one of the things I bring to the table is that I know how to connect to the source to get the resource. So whatever you need, I can get it through Christ. The Bible says I can do all things through Christ, who strengtheneth me.
Mm-hmm. Amen. And I believe that those of you who are watching and had the opportunity to hear this, I think that this would be an excellent resource for you to contact this pastor. And I believe in her ministry. I've heard great things, nothing but great things about her ministry. I heard that she is a powerful speaker and she really knows the word. So I really trust that you can get the help that you need if you were to contact her. So I hope that you have enjoyed this episode, and I want to thank you again for being a guest on my show.
Thank you.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Pastor Necole Alexander. Is it Alexandra?
Alexander.
Alexander. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. So please feel free to contact her. She has made herself available to you, and you'll be hearing more from me for sure. So I hope you enjoy it, and we look forward to seeing you back. Please do consider subscribing if you have not done so. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and we'll be happy to have you back for other shows. Thank you very much for watching.
Bye, everyone.